Hello, Andrea here from Cardinal Cat Nash Cat, also Spec Tech Web Solutions. And today we are doing a video screen capture for Google Drive tips. This is another video which will focus on creating or copying documents within Google Drive. So please look at the other videos. There's one video that shows you how to look at My Drive versus Shared with Me. There's another video that shows you more about the contents of the folders that you're going to find and different ways to view that information. This video is going to be specifically focused on how to create documents and how to do that with automatic sharing, basically. So there's things you want to create that's for yourself only that you don't want anybody else to see. We'll talk about that. But there's also things you want to create with certain and share with certain people. So a lot of times you want to share things with the whole team. And the best way to do that is to put it in the right place first. So we'll also look at copying. So some of our information we have access to, we have different forms and templates that you need to grab that, but then make a copy of it so that you can basically fill it out and provide your own information. So those are the main things we're going to focus on with this video. And first of all, once you get to your My Drive, look at your different folders. So we talked previously in the other video about the three main folders. So you have the temp kind of holding spot, you have a training library, and you have the team information. So those are our three main folders. Now, when you're looking at these, you are inside of your personal My Drive. So if you want to create something that's just for you, you don't want to share it, you don't want anybody else to see it, if you create that, whether it's a folder or a document, if you create that within My Drive, not while you're inside another folder, that means only you are going to have access to it. And if that's your plan, that's fine. So let's just demonstrate that quickly. So in My Drive, I can click on New, and I can create a folder. And I can name this folder My Private Info. So create a folder, name it whatever you want to name it. Once you have that folder, here we see it, My Private Info, then you can create a document. So you can create a Google Doc, a Google Sheet, Google Slides, other items. Let's just do a simple Google Doc. And here we can give it a name, My Private Doc. This is my info for my eyes only. So we can do that just very quickly, very easily. And this is all done with inside My Drive. So here's my document. Now if I close it, go back to my views. So now within My Drive, I have my own folder, My Private Info. I have my own document, My Private Doc. So I am the only person who can see this. Now you can go and change the sharing settings for that. So you can click on this and you can change the sharing. However, I don't recommend that you do that. I really recommend that if you're doing things for anybody within the team, that you really use the folders that we already have created. So if you keep creating things within your own My Drive and you keep sharing them, you share them with a fellow project manager or a fellow, kind of admin person, then that person leaves, for example, and you have to move it to somewhere else and share it with somebody else, or it turns out you shared it with one person, but now another person needs it. It can just get really, really, really messy. And even though this isn't exactly how all these documents were created, but this shows you a little bit of an example. So if I just had all these different documents that I just keep putting in here, and I just have this whole mess of all this different stuff, and it's just really it's not easy to find things, and it's not easy to share things. So the ideal situation is that you have, for your own stuff, create your own folder. See, I also have this one already created that I called My Drive. That has some of my more personal information there. But create yourself a couple of folders. As independent contractors, you want to keep track of your own stuff, your commissions or your expenditures, any of those kinds of things you need for your own accounting purposes, tax purposes. So that's all fine. Create your own folders, create your own files that you need for your purposes only, and do that just right within the My Drive. But if you're doing things for the team even if it's just for one person at the time. You never know, that could change. But any of that you want to do within the right folder. So for example, if you're the one taking pictures, maybe some images of a roof, what you want to do is you want to go to the extra or temp files, go to that folder, and ideally create a folder there, so something to help organize in some fashion. The best case scenario would be to do a folder named with a PO number. So maybe we want to call it Smith 123. So create that folder. Once you have the folder, then you can go and put anything you need to share. So maybe you're doing this for, again, one of your fellow teammates, one of your fellow project managers, but give it their PO number, or at least give it their name, something identifiable, and then you can either pull items from your phone if you're working off your phone, or you can go to, the new and the file upload if you want to upload them off your phone or your iPad or your computer, or you can create new things. You can do some of the drag and drop methods just to pull things from either, again, from a different place or even from your, something you have saved in your My Drive, but put it all into a place that's already shared. So think about carefully, what kind of file are you working with? Are you working with pictures that will hopefully go to Freud, so you could use this extra or temp job files? Are you providing some training information that you're sharing with everybody? Maybe you went to a seminar. Maybe you want to share some industry notes or some sales tools. Start with the folder first. Put your information into that folder, and you won't have to worry about any of the settings to share with people. So one of the problems is if you create something in My Drive, and if you try to just kind of attach it to an email, the person tries to open it and says, sorry, you don't have permission. You need to get permission to see this, or you need to get permission to open this. So again, it really becomes a hassle. The ideal situation is just to create it right off the bat in the right place. The other thing you might be doing, so instead of creating brand new content or uploading content, the other thing you might do is need to copy something that we already have. So with our team docs, we have lots of different forms and templates that you might need to create one of these for, some specific information, specific client, or whatever the case. So what you can do is you can come to any of these items, any of the forms or templates, and so it starts with a nice standard template, so we keep that standard across the organization. But perhaps we want to do an invoice. So when you have this invoice, you don't want to open it and start changing it, because then you're going to change it for everybody. That's not what we want either. So instead, what we want to do is we want a copy of that. So we can say make a copy. So no matter what it is, no matter what kind of document it is, find it, but then say make a copy, and then save it in the place where it should be. You might not want to create an invoice for one of your jobs or whatever the case. You might not want to do that back within our shared area. So you can change that. You can call it, you can say invoice for Smith, whatever it is you're going to do, whatever, client or anything you want to do. And then you can move it somewhere. Don't leave it in the forms and templates. Go back and put it in your My Drive. Go back and put it somewhere where only you can get to it. So I could put that in my private info. So now I have the copy. So I still have my forms and templates that are within our team docs, and here's our invoice form. That hasn't been touched, that hasn't been changed, hasn't been manipulated. So it's all still intact and it's all good for the next person. Instead, I made a copy, and then I put that copy in my own folder. And now I can start changing this. Now I can do whatever I want. Make the changes, add all the information, do whatever it is you need to do to make that individualized and make that work for you, but it's still kind of your copy that not everybody needs to have access to. Not everybody needs to see it. So maybe you're just going to do this quickly. I'll show you in a second the best way to attach these as well. But do this quickly, create it, use it. You can even, once you have it emailed off, or once you have it sent off, or if it's something you're creating for Freud and you have it uploaded to Freud, once that's all done, then go and delete it, get rid of it. But here's another important tip. So whether you're doing a Word document or a Google Doc, or a spreadsheet. Sometimes we have like some different invoice templates or things that are spreadsheets. Either way, when you're doing that, if you're going to send that to someone outside of our organization, you want to make sure, first of all, that you keep it more safe by changing it to a PDF. If you send somebody a Google Doc or a Google spreadsheet, they can probably go and change it if they also use those programs. But if you go to File and download as PDF, yes, you can still change PDFs, but that at least makes it easier for somebody to get something and view it without trying to manipulate it. But that's the other tip too. You want to go to download. So don't do email as attachment. If you do that, the person who gets the email is going to say, hey, I can't open this. It says I don't have permission. What you want to do is anytime you're especially working with people outside of our organization, you want to download it out of Google Drive. So you can go to File, Download, Download as PDF. You have other options, but that's the most common. So once you do that, now you have that version in your downloads folder, if that's how your computer's set up. Then you can go compose an email and attach it from downloads. You don't want to attach out of Google Drive. Again, mainly and especially if you're sending it to a client or to an insurance agent or anybody external to our organization and our teams. You have to get out of Google Drive because they don't have permission to access our Google Drive, and we don't want them to. We want to save a copy somewhere else and just attach that copy. Now, if you're sending it within your team, within to one of your other teammates, then you could do like the email as attachment or something like that, or make a copy of the link. So over here in links, you could make a copy of this to send to somebody. So it's fine if you're sending it to somebody else within our team, within the Cardinal team or the Nashville team. It's okay to do it that way. But if you're sending it outside, you have to pull it out of Google Drive first. So that shows you how to create documents within your own My Drive to keep it private, keep it personal, or if you want to do it to share it with a team member, or multiple team members, just make sure you go to the folder first and then create a new folder or create a new file. So those are the tips on creating and copying documents within Google Drive.